Hello everyone, I'm back with another game recording. Because I don't have the money for the Fallout DLC at this time, I decided to do a Path of Exile build. Before I get into it, I would like to make it very clear that I am aware the tooltip damage is low. There is no need to comment on that. This is an experimental build, and I fully anticipated something like this to happen. However, the experiment did prove something, and I'll get into that here in a second. So, first thing to realize, this build is a Hyaon's Fury shield build. Hyaon's Fury is an almost pure lightning damage one-handed sword. It increases the amount of lightning damage it does per frenzy charge, but it also increases the damage you take per frenzy charge. So the reason I did this with a shield is because the shield block chance is higher than a dual wield block chance. Not only that, you're basically increasing the amount of damage you take by basically double if you're going to be dual wielding Hyaon's Fury. So I don't get the point in doing that. It's better to play it safe with Hyaon's Fury. So that's the entire build basis. Now, there are other unique items that are considered the core of it, and I'll show you those as well after I show you the build. So knowing Hyaon's Fury now, you'll notice that my entire build is using the Scion. Now, I was waiting for somebody to carry me through the labyrinth, but I could not get that done as nobody was willing to help me, so I just went ahead and just did the recording without it. The last 2 points would have gone into the Guardian and the extra passive point. Guardian says it gives me 3% additional block chance. Every 10 seconds, I remove curses and elemental statuses on me. Me and allies get 12% increased attack and cast speed while affected by auras you cast. I'll show you why I did that over Raider down there. But anyways, the build for now is this. I went down the Sentinel side, came up the left for all those life nodes, over here for the armor, the life nodes here, the shield, and more life nodes. Now, I am aware people say Tireless is useless, but because it's on the way to where I'm going with my build, I don't see it as useless. I mean, it's basically 15% reduced mana cost right there. So, anyways, went down this side as well. I came all the way down here for iron reflexes. I'll explain that as well in a second. The frenzy charges, the armor, the life, the shield node down here. I only had points to do half of that. Came back up here for herbalism, which is life. More frenzy charges, life, cold-hearted calculation, and the arcing blows way up there. So, Hyaon's Fury, because it's maximum lightning damage, that means physical damage nodes really aren't that effective on it. So you don't want to spend into, say, Studious Combatant or things like that. What's more valuable to Hyaon's Fury is elemental damage nodes or lightning damage nodes. And because of the passive tree change, actually Hyaon's Fury is a lot stronger than it was prior. Reason being, looking at arcing blows, you'll notice it says damage with weapons penetrates 8% lightning resistance. That's a lot. When you stack that with Forces of Nature, which is down here, that's another 6% penetration. And then, when you go all the way over here, you'll see Celestial Judgment, which increases the chance to shock by 5%, which is insane. Because if you manage to shock somebody while using Hyaon's Fury, that's 50% more damage. Then you have Celestial Judgment over here adding 2% more. At the end of this build, once you manage to get those three, plus a Lightning Penetration support gem linked to Frenzy, you're going to have 50% Lightning Penetration, which is very high. Especially because of the aura thing that I'm going to have to mention regarding Guardian here in a second. Before I do that, let me explain Iron Reflexes. Iron Reflexes is more than a 1-point flexibility node. It actually takes advantage of a loophole in the math, and I'll tell you exactly where that is. So you'll notice looking at the very base armor, I'm not talking, you know, special armor or anything, just the white standard stuff. You'll notice Glorious Plate is level 68, requires 191 strength, and gives you 553 armor. Zodiac Leather is level 65, 197 dex, and gives you 609 evasion, right? Looking at General's Brigandine, which is level 66, 103 dex and strength, and gives you 296 evasion plus armor, right? So the combined total with Iron Reflexes on General's Brigandine is 592. So, math-wise, Zodiac Leather or General's Brigandine will give me more armor rating than Plate will ever give me. Other bonus to this is not only am I taking advantage of a loophole, but I make the build more flexible. Right now there's not much of a market for hybrid armor, so I can snag some very high roll armor for 1 to 2 chaos, roughly. Now, I won't tell you the cost of the build by piece as we go along, I'll just post it in the description, so you can just see like how cheap this build was. But anyways, let's talk about Guardian. So, the first thing you'll notice in my skill tree is, my skills is Wrath. Now, I only have room for 2 auras. So I used Wrath, and I used Conductivity tied to Blasphemy. The reason I did not do Herald of Thunder is because Herald of Thunder's direct damage is not as high as Wrath. Furthermore, the lightning damage caused by killing something is not going to be as nearly good as an AoE skill. So I prefer to have Conductivity in here tied to Blasphemy because then it makes it so I don't have to cast this curse all the time. And so I have an AoE curse. I don't have to worry about messing with the curse or targeting the wrong enemy. It's just simply there all the time. So the reason Guardian I think is better than Raider is because it affects allies as well as me. Not only that, Raider requires me to have full frenzy charges to trigger Onslaught. So Guardian is 12% all the time, and then Raider's only another 20% increased attack speed when at full frenzy charge. So I have to wait for those frenzy charges. So this gives me a faster start to the frenzy charges. Not only that, it affects allies too, so this makes it more of a group thing. So that's pretty awesome. I would prefer that for Wrath. Now, as for the penetration thing I was mentioning earlier, Wrath, Conductivity makes cursed enemies lose 39% lightning resistance. So when you're pulling 50% lightning penetration, plus 39% minus lightning resistance, you're hitting an enemy for a lot more than what the tooltip is giving you. That's the kind of part I was warning about. So, let's look at my stats at level 67. Yes, I know they're not the greatest. I have 3.7k life, almost 3.8k. My Frenzy does about 4.5k DPS when max Frenzy charge. But again, that is basically pure lightning damage, so that 4.5k is roughly 15 to 20k, depending on the monster. So this does a lot more than it's showing. I actually do use Cleave for the AoE. Now, Cleave is a bit lower DPS for non-quality AoEs, but once you get a quality Cleave, that increases the attack speed, making the tooltip damage higher. So, with all that tied in and explained, let's look at the core items besides Hyaon's Fury. I made Kikazaru one of my core items because of that 17 life regen number. I don't really need the plus 10 to all attributes, but it's just nice to have. The 40% increased mana regeneration rate, also nice to have. Reduced effective curses, also nice. It's only 27% lightning resistance, but because I'm running a shield build, it doesn't matter if this is a double regen or not. I can compensate for it elsewhere. The anvil is the next core item as far as uniques are concerned. Now, this one gives you 8% chance to block, but it does reduce your attack speed by 10%, so there's another reason why the tooltip damage is lower. Now, you could replace the anvil with Blood Grip because of its high health regen if you wanted to, but I think the 8% chance to block is a little bit better for something like this. Up to you. The next core item is Surge Binders for the 7% increased elemental damage per frenzy charge. Now there's another reason why the tooltip damage is low. It's because I don't have these on yet. I was not able to get these to the socket colors I needed yet. Now this one is actually max roll percent-wise on the frenzy and endurance charges. The armor is not max roll though. So this is actually a well-rolled Surge Binders despite that. Now, because Hyaon's Fury is all lightning and basically no physical, the physical damage per endurance charge is not really necessary or really needed. So as long as you can roll 7% increased elemental damage per frenzy charge, that's really all you need. Because you're not going to get much out of the physical, like I was saying earlier. Now, with that shown, I'll go over the items to show you just how cheap I was able to roll. So this is my 4-link Sharkskin Tunic. I got this for, I think it was like 2 KS. Again, I'll post it all in the description, but it's basically max life roll, almost max evasion rating, and lightning resist. Very awesome for a cheap item. The great thing is, because that armor reflex, so that 1790 evasion rating is actually 1790 armor. So I'm almost rolling 2000 armor alone on the chest piece. My helmet, not nearly as nice, but for the low cost, it's pretty decent because of the fact that it's triple resist. It has the chaos resist in there, which is hard to come by, the cold, and the fire resistance. So that's kind of nice. Now, I had to haggle for this Empyrean Spiral Unset Ring, but this is basically more life regen, and fire and cold resistance. Yes, it's not the world's best ring, but I'm going cheap, so not a huge deal. It's not like I can compensate for it anyways. My Tower Shield, not exactly max roll armor, but it is near max roll for block chance. 32% chance is the max block roll for the Tower Shield that have that symbol on it. But it is 2 sockets linked, so obviously Conductivity and Blasphemy is sitting there, so that works for me regardless. It is max life roll, awesome. My boots, not exactly that great, but it's 40 off from being a max life roll, 6 life regen, basically fire resistance and movement speed. Pretty awesome. The belt is near max life roll on both the base and the added roll. The chaos resistance is near max roll as well, so that's pretty awesome, and lightning resist. So those are all the items that I have on this character. You'll notice that that is the entire build. Now, I will finish the recording by showing you the passive tree at 100 points. I'll tap for that, give me a second. There it goes. Okay, it just took it a minute. Alright, so this is the entire tree with 100 points. Obviously you can add more into this if you want to. You're right next to a bunch of jewel slots, and of course, if you're running the anvil, you have your movement, speed, and evasion wheel, which is celerity over here by forces of nature. So there's a lot of flexibility for you to choose from here. But anyways, you'll notice I managed to get over here to Celestial Judgment and Punishment. You'll notice that I came through the Devotion Life node to get over there. Now, you can come through the other side to get you to the Indomitable Armor Wheel if you wanted to, but leveling wise there'll be a headache for you, because then you'd have to come up here to this Strength node, right where the shield defense is, and stop there, and then come all the way back around and go over here. Point wise, they're the exact same if you go either direction. So that's perfectly okay. But it's up to you, as I said. So, coming down here, you'll notice that you're actually right on top of the Berserking node, which is obviously more tooltip damage. I did fill in this wheel here, the one that only had happen on the characters you saw. Force of Nature was filled in, Herbalism, Arcing Blows was all filled in over here, so yeah, you can see that I basically did everything there. So this build sits right on top of 3 jewel sockets for basically 3 points. You're also sitting on top of the Command to Steal, so if you want to increase your shield reliability. You're also sitting right on top of Deflection for more shield reliability and block chance. Oh, that wasn't filled in, my bad. But yeah, that evasion for frenzy charge. Yeah, so this build is totally flexible and totally up to you. Yeah, so hopefully this is explained everything. If it didn't, feel free to comment in the video below and let me know. Thanks for listening.